News at 11 begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Regina Ahn. Well, time is running out for Congress to pass a COVID relief and stimulus bill before lawmakers leave Washington for the holidays. And tonight, the House and Senate passed a 2-day extension of government funding that avoids a shutdown. And new tonight, President Trump has signed off for approval of the resolution to continue.
Both sides of the aisle are firmly committed to finalizing another major pandemic rescue package for the American people.
Short-term agreement gives lawmakers a weekend to hash out the final sticking points over a $900 billion COVID relief bill that they want to attach to the larger spending bill. The plan being discussed would include another round of stimulus checks for most Americans between $600 and $700 per person.
The working families of this country today are probably in worse economic condition than at any time since the Great Depression.
So if a deal is not reached, unemployment aid for 12 million jobless Americans, a nationwide moratorium on evictions, and a federal paid family leave benefit will all expire at the end of the month. And along with the stimulus deadline, millions of people could temporarily lose unemployment benefits even if Congress reaches a stimulus deal tonight. Our Morgan Trout heard from a man who says he feels invisible to the government for the past year.
Congress extended their deadline to agree on a new coronavirus aid deal and prevent a government shutdown. But to people who need their unemployment checks to survive, that extension isn't exactly reassuring.
Unanimous consent, the quorum.
Many of those needing government aid during the pandemic are frustrated with the silence.
No options to do anything. They just don't answer, don't send me any messages back. They don't care about us as humans. It's all a number game to them. That's how I feel. I feel like we're nothing.
Martin Hansen feels voiceless and ignored by local, state, and federal government. He suffered a major injury at the start of the year, making him unable to work his manufacturing job as he relearns how to walk. He has spent the year trying to get his pandemic unemployment assistance, but his claim continuously slips through the fingers of those who are supposed to be helping him.
You know, I've sent hundreds of messages through their app and called at least 200 times throughout all different times of day trying to get a hold of them. It was a very rough 10 and a half, 11 months of just scrounging and using most of my savings, if not all of it.
The previous aid bill expires on December 26th. Even if Congress passes the new aid deal sometime this weekend, it will still take weeks for every separate state to get adjusted to the new rules. Meaning, if somebody has been receiving unemployment benefits, they will still be stuck like Hansen without a weekly check.
They don't have to worry about missing a paycheck. They get paid no matter what. We're just lost in the wind because we're not at their level. And I feel that on a lot of things. Is since we're not sitting in seats with them, we're just nothing. We're just peons, and it hurts.
President Trump just signed the extension, preventing a partial government shutdown. This gives Congress until Sunday at midnight to come to an agreement. Reporting in Spokane, Morgan Trout, KREM 2 News.
Well, KREM 2 is dedicated to giving the most updated information on the COVID-19 vaccine. So here are 3 things you need to know tonight. The FDA approved a second coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. Moderna's vaccine won a near unanimous recommendation from an FDA advisory panel yesterday, clearing the way for today's approval. Closer to home, the first COVID vaccine was given in Spokane. It happened at Providence Sacred Heart early this morning. A transplant physician received the first dose. Before getting the vaccine, the doctor spent his night shift performing a kidney and pancreas transplant. And then finally, number 3, Kootenai Health gave its first COVID-19 vaccine as well. The first 5 Kootenai Health workers to get the shot were 2 critical care physicians, a hospital physician, a respiratory therapist, and a critical care nurse. The first week that Washington and Idaho residents get vaccinated for coronavirus included some bad news from the federal government. The next shipment of vaccines will be much smaller than originally expected. Washington originally expected 75,000 doses, but now it will be closer to 45,000. Governor Inslee says it doesn't seem to be a problem with production on Pfizer's end. Rather, he says it seems like a communication issue at the federal government. Idaho will also receive 44% less of the vaccine than their expected amount. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare says no explanation was given as to why the number of vaccines was dramatically reduced. And we know this is a lot of information about the new COVID-19 vaccine. That's why here at KREM, we created the vaccine team. So do you have a vaccine question that you'd like to ask? Just text us your question to that number on your screen, 509-448-2000. And for the latest vaccine update so that you can stay up to speed, just text the word vaccine to that very same number. Now to some new information. Airway Heights Correction Center is reporting its first death due to the coronavirus. COVID infections have really skyrocketed at the prison, with more than 1,200 positive cases being identified in December alone. That's almost 50% of the center's population. And since the pandemic began, 5 inmates have died from COVID-19 while in the custody of the Washington Department of Corrections. The department houses approximately 15,000 incarcerated individuals in its system. Turning the page now to a look at weather. Happy Friday evening, everybody. As we head into the weekend, Thomas, are we expecting a really rainy, sort of windy weekend, or how is it looking?
Yeah, we're getting rain, but it's not a washout for this upcoming weekend. So we would definitely have plenty of hours to get outside and enjoy some of the fairly mild December weather ahead of us. But we'll just have to watch out for a few of these rain bands like what we're seeing right now. Just poked my head outside our studios here on the South Hill, and it's a very fine but light rain at the moment in Spokane. Looks like it's going to be moving into Coeur d'Alene quite shortly as well. Same story down on the Palouse. All this is pretty light precipitation. Might get a few snowflakes that could mix in near Moscow or some of the higher elevations, but no accumulations, as we'll stay well above the freezing mark for tonight. As for the weekend, we have an atmospheric river that sets up in the Pacific Ocean. This is going to deliver plenty of rain for the Pacific Northwest, especially the coastal areas, but it also provides warmer than average conditions, about 10 degrees above average for tomorrow, mid-40s overall, almost close to 50 degrees for this Sunday as well. More rain, especially Saturday night, but not a washout for this whole weekend. So coming up, I'm going to go hour by hour show when that rain is most likely to fall and who is going to see the most rain overall.
And Thomas, that atmospheric river really does look like a river when you put on that map. All right, Tom.